Welcome to Islands of Adventure, where the adventure comes alive every day.
We are proud to unveil Universal Studios Islands of Adventure.
Today is May 28th, 2024, and exactly 25 years ago today, Universal's Islands of Adventure first opened to theme park guests. Today is the 25th anniversary, so I couldn't let the anniversary go by without coming out here and paying a visit, paying respects to Islands of Adventure. We're gonna head inside and see if there's anything special that's taking place for the 25th anniversary, and then along the way, we're gonna talk about some of the history of the park, some of the attractions and shows that used to be here, kind of compare it with Islands of Adventure from 1999. So come along with me.
Islands of Adventure, the most amazing theme park ever created. Now thrilling families at Universal Orlando. Step inside the whimsical world of Dr. Seuss. Explore the real-life Jurassic Park. Ride with Spider-Man in the world's most spectacular 3D adventure. Come visit the all-new Islands of Adventure, one of two must-see theme parks at Universal Orlando. 2 parks, 2 days, one great vacation.
Also wanted to show you guys the shirt that I'm wearing today. This is the opening day shirt from 1999. So this shirt is 25 years old. There's a lot of cool artwork on here. You got the dueling dragons over here. You have the Hulk, Me Ship the Olive, Dr. Doom's Fearfall. A lot of things happening. This is one of my favorite theme park shirts that I have, and had to wear it today. And as we take a look at the height requirement sign in the front, definitely some new names that have been recently added over the years, but also a lot of attractions from its opening day. As we're making our way through Port of Entry, which is an extremely well-themed entrance to a theme park. So many times I walk through Port of Entry and I kind of forget to look around. You're just kind of walking through there as you're getting to your destination, but it is so incredibly themed.
Our first stop is the Port of Entry, where we are welcomed by the island's charming and mysterious citizens.
Hey, you up there!
Boy, do they know a lot about this place.
That is our proudest landmark, the Port of Entry Lighthouse. 133 feet, exactly. I measured.
Port of Entry featured one opening day attraction, and that was the Island Skipper Tours. As you pass through the shops, restaurants, and all the details of the entrance of Port of Entry, you were led to the park's waterfront, which was known as the Inland Sea, the home of Port of Entry's only attraction. Island Skipper Tours was a free-floating boat transportation ride that would take guests from Port of Entry across the lagoon to Jurassic Park. Even though Island Skipper Tours closed in 2001, there is a slight reminder of this attraction that once was, and that is the drawbridge between Seuss Landing and the Lost Continent. This bridge that guests walk over every single day was actually a drawbridge and led back to the dry dock, where maintenance can be performed on the 3 boats as needed. And here's something that will take you back in time. The opening day ticket price for Islands of Adventure was $46. Quite different from today. Like I mentioned, today is the exact 25th anniversary, and a lot of people associate the year 1999 with Islands of Adventure, and rightfully so, because that was the year that the park opened. But planning and development for this park was taking place for years and years prior to that. If you're familiar, or if you're not familiar with the opening history of Universal Studios right next door, opening day was a bit of a disaster. So Universal wanted to make sure that when Islands of Adventure opened, its second theme park and a staple of its almost $3 billion expansion, they wanted to make sure that everything went off without a hitch. So they gave themselves years of development time, research time. For example, the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, they were testing that attraction in an Orlando warehouse for well over a year before they even brought it here on property to Universal. So they wanted to make sure everything was buttoned up, and Islands of Adventure had a super smooth opening. And speaking of that opening, this video couldn't be more 90s. Here you have Steven Spielberg welcoming everybody to Universal's Islands of Adventure, and then each of the different lands here kind of had a little fireworks celebration, and then they had an inflatable that blew up and kind of signified the opening of the land. And then the craziest part, which is something that definitely would not exist today, this is peak 90s, that a helicopter fly around, and for Marvel Superhero Island, they had Spider-Man hanging from the helicopter. He was literally flying throughout the air over the lagoon here at Islands of Adventure. So definitely a very 90s-esque opening, but it was 1999, so it was fitting for the time. It's just funny to look back on that and see how far things have come since then. Now, we can't talk about the history of Islands of Adventure without talking about the theme park that almost was, which at the time was Cartoon World. In 1991, right after Universal Studios Florida had opened, Jay Stein, who was the head of Universal Parks at the time, was already thinking about expansion and proposed the idea for a second theme park to make Universal not just a one-day destination, but a way to appeal to a broader audience and capture more of an Orlando vacation. The original idea, known as Cartoon World, was born, and Universal was ready to take on the mouse down the street. They decided to try and partner with Warner Brothers, as Warner's catalog of beloved cartoon characters could possibly compete with Disney's Magic Kingdom. Similar to Islands of Adventure, the original concept art for Cartoon World was designed in a hub and spoke layout. In what is now Port of Entry, the original entry road was to be named Comic Strip Lane. Development went on for years, and while the creative team were actually designing the park, the executives at Universal were negotiating royalties with Warner Brothers, and this is ultimately what led to the downfall of the Universal and Warner Brothers relationship. But along the way, there were ideas to have a land dedicated to the Looney Tunes as well as the DC superheroes. By December of 1993, Cartoon World was put on the shelf and Universal was forced to pivot into what would ultimately become Islands of Adventure as we know it today. Now, with the original plans for the park to be focused solely on cartoon characters, there was only one problem, and that is Universal didn't own the rights to many cartoons at the time, so what they had to do was kind of go out and source all the different material and IP, intellectual property, that was going to be used here at Islands of Adventure.
In the early days of this project, we were looking for something that would appeal to kids. You're nowhere without Dr. Seuss. So very early on in this process, we started working with the notion of bringing to life the books and writings of Dr. Seuss.
Universal had to convince the estate of Dr. Seuss to let them use the rights to build Seuss Landing, which included an all-expenses-paid trip for the Seuss family to come to Universal, check out the plans for Seuss Landing in person, and show them that they would do right by the late Dr. Seuss's properties. Same was the case for them acquiring the rights to Jay Ward's cartoon universe, which included characters such as Rocky and Bullwinkle, Boris Badenov, Dudley Do-Right, and more.
Compared to our next adventure, Toon Lagoon is a walk in the park.
Tonight, the Sinister Syndicate has taken its criminal rampage to a new level.
This is Marvel Superhero Island, and we are surrounded by the most treacherous villains and the greatest heroes in the entire comic universe.
Now, for a lot of people, when you hear Islands of Adventure, you think of all of the different Marvel characters that are here. You think of the Spider-Man ride. But did you know that Marvel was not the first choice for this park? It was actually intended to be a DC-themed land. Now, if you transport yourself back in time to the days before the MCU, the DC characters were extremely popular. This is coming off of the success of Tim Burton's Batman, so Universal wanted to capitalize on the popularity of the DC characters. Ultimately, they weren't able to acquire the rights, and Marvel was their backup plan. It worked out in the end because Universal, by owning those rights, those theme park rights to the Marvel characters, they've kind of prevented Disney from doing certain things here in Florida. It's a very convoluted contract. It's very difficult. Marvel was actually the second option for Islands of Adventure. As we make our way into the park, we are going to turn right. And the first land that we're going to visit today is Seuss Landing. When you first cross the bridge into Seuss Landing, on your left-hand side, you'll see this dedication plaque to Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss. We dedicate this island to Dr. Seuss. May his genius forever be on the loose. And to Mrs. Geisel, fondest thanks too for guiding our way clear to Solace Salud.
Of course, you can't do Seuss Landing without taking a spin with the cat who started it all.
Make that cat go away. You do not want to play. Go back as you can. Think of something to do. You will have to get rid of it. I always pick up my playthings, and so I will show you another good trick that I know.
Now, I mentioned in the beginning of the video that most of the opening day attractions here at Islands of Adventure are still here today, but one of them that is recently closed, they actually closed last year, is right behind me. and that is Poseidon's Fury.
When we started thinking about the lost continent and started thinking about having people be part of mythology.
One of the importances of myth in our lives is that it allows us to use our imaginations and to place ourselves in stories that are grand and glorious with characters that are huge.
Poseidon's Fury opened with the park, but it actually had a different storyline than what it did when it closed last year. In the original story of Poseidon's Fury, in the original attraction, a tour guide named the Keeper narrated a story about a battle between Zeus and Poseidon. And fun fact, Poseidon was actually voiced by Jeremy Irons, who was the voice of Scar in Disney's The Lion King. As the storyline progressed, the Keeper actually ended up being Zeus in disguise and ends up defeating Poseidon at the end of the attraction. In 2001, due to guest feedback, the story was revised to the version with Taylor, the nerdy tour guide who takes us through the version of Poseidon's Fury that we knew until it closed on May 10th, 2023. Another extinct show that took place here in the Lost Continent was the 8th Voyage of Sinbad, and this theater is just behind this facade over here. It still sits vacant to this day. Matter of fact, in the morning sometimes during early park admission, they use it as an extended queue for Hagrid's, but other than that, it is not being used for anything.
This is the village of Sinbad, the sailor, brave hero of one of history's most famous legends, 1001 Tales of the Arabian Nights. But even more wondrous is this courageous adventure.
The 8th Voyage of Sinbad was a live-action stunt show that took place right here in the Lost Continent. It closed in 2018, and as of today is just the extended queue for Hagrid's when they need it. But yeah, right behind this facade is where that theater is. It's kind of a shame that it hasn't been turned into anything else, and that is kind of a theme here at Islands of Adventure. There are 2 big theaters that are currently not being used at all. Sinbad being one of them, and then the other one is back over in Toon Lagoon, which we'll touch on in just a few minutes. Now, the Lost Continent was the one land of Islands of Adventure when it first opened that was an original concept. And in a way, it was kind of stolen from what was supposed to be the Beastly Kingdom over at Walt Disney World that never came to be, which featured dragons and things of the like. But the Lost Continent kind of is like this abandoned yesteryear of Islands of Adventure. There was the Dueling Dragons coaster that used to be here as well, and then a big chunk of the Lost Continent got redone into Hogsmeade, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. But all that's here right now is basically just the talking fountain. He's actually talking literally right now, and just some places to eat. There's also the All Hallows Eve boutique, but it's kind of turned into a land where you just pass through it, getting from Seuss Landing over to the next land.
This is the castle of Merlinwood Forest, the site of a powerful battle between 2 fearsome dueling dragons, one with breath of fire and the other ice.
Dragons and roller coasters. It's a perfect combination.
And speaking of dueling dragons, that was an opening day roller coaster that was here in the Lost Continent. It was changed to the Dragon Challenge once the Wizarding World of Harry Potter first opened, and ultimately was closed to make way for Hagrid's in 2019. There was also another section of the Lost Continent called Merlinwood, which was home to the Flying Unicorn and the Dueling Dragons roller coasters. It also featured the Enchanted Oak Tavern, which was a restaurant located inside of a giant tree stump with Merlin's face on it. This was the area that was demolished when the Wizarding World of Harry Potter went under construction, and those 2 coasters, the Flying Unicorn and Dueling Dragons, turned into Flight of the Hippogriff and Dragon Challenge, which, like I mentioned, has since been closed and is now Hagrid's. It's funny because as I'm back here, and literally as I was talking about how this is just kind of a place you walk through, no one ever comes back here, by the way. This is a great place if you need like a few minutes to get away. So as I was just filming that last bit, a woman walked by, and when I was done filming, she stopped me and said, "Is there a ride back here or something?" And I was like, matter of fact, there used to be a show here, but it's been closed for 6 years.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
With Universal Creative moving away from the idea of a cartoon-based theme park and the obvious success of the 1993 summer blockbuster Jurassic Park, it was clear what the next land of Islands of Adventure would consist of. To capitalize on the success of the film, Universal created Jurassic Park right here in the swamplands of Orlando.
And what we wanted to do here at Islands of Adventure is really build the park that John Hammond would have created, given the opportunity to have a second shot at it.
Featuring the iconic Jurassic Park entrance gates, a water ride with dinosaur animatronics, and even the ability to meet a Triceratops yourself.
This will be the marquee to Triceratops right here. So up there where you have those indentations, it'll say Triceratops Encounter.
Our next stop is the Triceratops Encounter, where our guests get the opportunity to see a living, breathing dinosaur up close and personal.
Jurassic Park was highly immersive and quickly became one of the most popular lands of Islands of Adventure.
Another opening day attraction here in Jurassic Park is River Adventure. This is a water ride where you go down a giant hill at the end, and there's a chance you're gonna get wet. It kind of depends on where you're sitting, depends on how the water falls, but this is an opening day attraction. I'm on the fence if I'm gonna ride it. I kind of feel like I have to because we're here on the 25th anniversary. And honestly, it's probably been at least 5-6 years since I've been on this. Probably closer to 10 years, honestly, because we don't really do the water rides whenever we come. So I'll think about it and we'll see if we get on.
Step back, step back, step back, please. Help us get to you with the greatest of ease. Here we come to brighten your day. We're your Toon Lagoon favorites. We love to dance and sing and play.
Now over here in Toon Lagoon, they have this giant theater, which pretty much for the most part today sits vacant. I believe that they use this from time to time for cheerleading competitions and things of the like. But years ago, there were a couple of different shows here and they couldn't have been any more different. So the opening day show that was inside this theater was called the Pandemonium Cartoon Circus. It was a circus style show that featured a lot of different characters that you can find throughout the land, such as Rocky and Bullwinkle, Woody Woodpecker, Popeye, Olive Oil, Betty Boop, and a whole bunch more. This show had a very, very short run. So the park opened in 1999, this show closed in 2000, and the shows that followed it are probably gonna surprise you. They surprised me because I honestly don't remember them. They were seasonal shows that ran when the park was at a very, very high capacity, and they used the theater kind of like as a people eater. And the first of those shows was Extreme Venture. Now this was a show that lasted about a year, and it was a BMX stunt show. So we went from like a circus themed, almost like a variety show featuring a lot of the characters that you would see here in Toon Lagoon, to a BMX stunt show. And the couple of shows that followed that would stick with that same theming. So Extreme Adventure closed in 2001, and from 2002 to 2004 came Matt Hoffman's Crazy Freakin' Stunt Show. Yes, that Matt Hoffman, the BMX rider, he was in the Jackass movies. He had a show here at Islands of Adventure in the middle of Toon Lagoon, which is just crazy to me. Again, that show ran seasonally, and then the last iteration of that show was Matt Hoffman's Agro Circus, which ran from 2010 to 2011. They actually changed the name from the Crazy Freakin' Stunt Show to Agro Circus because of the word freakin' that was in there. They felt like it wasn't a very like family-friendly name for a show that was taking place in a theme park, mostly geared towards kids. So they decided to change it. But how weird is it that Matt Hoffman, the BMX stunt guy, had a show here at Islands of Adventure? And ever since then, these ropes have been up, these gates have been closed, like I mentioned. I'm pretty sure they use this for cheerleading competitions seasonally throughout the year, but outside of that, there's no running daytime show or nighttime show or seasonal show that takes place here at the Toon Lagoon Theater. And I found some Easter eggs around Toon Lagoon that reference the original show that was here, that had Popeye and Rocky and Bullwinkle and those characters. And those Easter eggs are still here to this day. So they lasted through the Matt Hoffman BMX era, and they're still here. They're right outside of the theater. I'm gonna show you now. We are directly facing the theater. That's exactly where I was just standing, where I was showing you the stairs. If we turn to the left, you'll see these banners that are hanging from the lampposts. This one says presenting Rocky and Bullwinkle. You can see Rocky and Bullwinkle there. The Ring Mooster. Now keep in mind, the original show that was here at Islands of Adventure had a circus theme. So these are banners from the original show that was here back in 1999. As we keep walking down, you run into a few more. Here is presenting Broomhilda. And here's one for Boris and Natasha. Explosive Escapades. And then the last banner, which is right as you exit Toon Lagoon and head into Marvel Superhero Island, is Popeye and Olive Oil in Fire and Oil. So there you go. Those are the last relics to the show that was once here at the Toon Lagoon Theater. So next time you're doing a lap through Toon Lagoon, make sure you look up and check those out. It's part of theme park history. It's Universal history right in front of your face. So we are making our way out of Toon Lagoon and into Marvel Superhero Island.
The idea behind Marvel Superhero Island was to take our guests and literally drop them into the middle of a comic book world.
Marvel Superhero Island is the place where the greatest Marvel heroes and supervillains all congregate and they all live.
And like I mentioned, Universal winning the theme park rights to a lot of these characters kind of put a block on Disney from being able to do certain things. We talked about the MCU in the beginning of the video and how popular that is now. There are certain characters that can't be in theme park attractions, can't do meet and greets at parks because of the original agreement that Universal struck with Marvel. Now, is Marvel Superhero Island a little bit dated? Of course it is. It's here from 1999. We have so many advancements in immersion and technology and whatnot, but one ride that stands the test of time is Spider-Man. This is an opening day attraction, and it is one of my favorite attractions, not just at Universal, but honestly of all time. It's so well done. And when you think about the fact that this ride was developed in the late 90s, and you can still ride it in 2024 and it holds up, it means they did a pretty damn good job with that ride. It's so good. Like, it honestly never disappoints.
We're dropping you in the middle of a comic book. And we're going to drop you in the middle of that comic book. We need you to feel that. We need you to get bounced around. We need you to feel like you're up in the air. This vehicle goes a long way towards making that kind of an idea a reality.
The motion control system on Spider-Man is based on probably the most advanced electric technology in the world in this business.
So I think it's time we go ride Spider-Man. The Hulk is about to roar right past me. There it goes. Still thinking about whether or not I want to go on the Hulk because it is pretty rough compared to some modern coasters, but I might go on it just for old time's sake. And it is currently after 4 p.m. One of the advantages of having the premier annual pass, you get to use Express after 4. So let's go take a ride on Spider-Man. Just got off of Spider-Man and I was just thinking to myself, today was kind of just like any other day at Universal. Now, they didn't advertise that they were going to do anything special for the 25th anniversary. I actually asked in the pass holder group yesterday and all they told me was that the merchandise would be out. And that merchandise has been out for a few weeks now. It is really cool, but it's been out for a few weeks. But there was no like little dedication ceremony at Park Open. There was no like special characters, no special food. I kind of feel like Universal like missed the mark a little bit celebrating the 25th. Like, it's not like it was the 19th anniversary, the 21st anniversary. 25 is like a milestone anniversary. It's your silver year of the theme park. So, like I said, they didn't advertise anything, but I was hoping that given they're leaning into nostalgia heavy this summer with the tribute store, the parade and everything like that, I thought this would be a good chance for Universal to maybe bring back some rare character meet and greets, bring back some specialty food items, something that would have been very easy for them to do, but they didn't do anything.
3, 2, 1, Lumos Maxima!
I would be remiss to do a video on Islands of Adventure without talking about arguably the most important land in the entire park, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. 11 years after the grand opening of Islands of Adventure, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter would be the theme park expansion that put Universal on the map. With the creation of this highly immersive land, Universal opened the door for the ultimate theme park immersion experience, one that would be replicated by rival parks throughout the entire world. On May 31st, 2007, the first phase of the Wizarding World, which would be Hogsmeade, was officially announced for Islands of Adventure. A few years prior, rumors of a Harry Potter themed area at a Universal Studios park or a Disney park started to make the rounds. Shortly after, the Walt Disney Company and Universal entered a bidding war with Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling for the theme park rights to Harry Potter. In 2004, J.K. Rowling actually signed a letter of intent with the Walt Disney Company, with Disney intending to develop a Harry Potter themed land within Fantasyland at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. J.K. Rowling wanted full creative control of the project, which did not jive with Disney, who ended up pulling out of the negotiations and leaving the door open for Universal to come in and scoop up those rights.
So I suppose the completeness of the vision is what is really breathtaking here.
As I mentioned earlier in the Lost Continent section of this video, both the Flying Unicorn and the Enchanted Oak Tavern were closed in 2008 as the construction of the Wizarding World officially began.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter is truly the most spectacular themed entertainment area ever created in history.
The impact of the Wizarding World was felt almost immediately from an attendance standpoint, with number of guests jumping 66% from the year before Potter opened to the year after. Also, due to the success of the new Harry Potter land, Islands of Adventure was one of the only theme parks to rise in attendance after September 11th.
We're about to make our way out, but we're gonna stop in Islands of Adventure Trading Company first and see if they have any of the 25th anniversary merchandise. This is the shirt. This has been out. I don't know if we showed this in any other videos, but I really like the design of this. They have the dueling dragons represented on there, which is really cool. And then on the sleeve, they have the 25th of Islands of Adventure. If I can get it open. There you go. 25 years. They have that same design on a tumbler cup. This is $27 for the cup. For $15, they have that same design on a pin. And then lastly, for $55, they have a black zip-up hoodie. There's the 25th anniversary logo on the front, and then on the back, it is the same design that is on the t-shirt. And speaking of the store, the mural of the logo is the only thing that has a reference to the original name, where it says Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. Now, it's just known as Universal's Islands of Adventure, but this was here from '99. And with that, got our shirt. It's time to call it a day from Universal's Islands of Adventure. I had a fun day. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. This was kind of a mix between a vlog and like a studio type of video, but I wanted to touch on the history of this park throughout the day and overlay some of the things that used to be here, talk about some of the historical moments in the history of Islands of Adventure, and I hope you guys enjoyed coming along for the ride. If you did, make sure you give the video a nice big thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below your favorite memory from Islands of Adventure over the last 25 years. I'd love to hear some of the stories about your family vacations and some of your favorite rides that are here. Leave a comment down below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss out on all of our future Universal videos to come. With that being said, we'll see you guys real soon.